Hello and welcome to this short training video on marking assignments. Today we will have a quick think about the standardization, marking and moderation process. We'll have a think about preparing for baseline and final assignments and marking them, and then we'll spend a little bit of time considering the rise of AI with ChatGPT in particular. So first thing then, let's just run through the standardization, marking and feedback process. We are going to ensure that assignments are marked accurately first time, and we're going to do that through a three-step process. That will include a standardization process, marking of the actual assignments, and then moderation if required. So in order to standardize, you will be sent a standardization pack with relevant links, and in that pack will be some sample scripts. We ask you to mark the sample scripts according to the mark scheme in the pack, and then to submit the marks that you give to those scripts via a Microsoft form. That will allow us to see if you are marking within the standard variation that we expect. You will receive some feedback on that, whether you are marking at standard, or you will receive some documentation to help you mark closer to our standard if you are not. Following that process then, it is time to mark your assignments, and you need to mark your scholars' assignments, give them some feedback. Remember, you've got tutorial 6 and tutorial 7, and so we are marking kind of drafts or whatever it is that we have set in tutorial 5 in order to give students feedback, and then marking those final assignments as soon as possible after they have been submitted. Once you have marked your final assignments, those marks need to be uploaded to the hub. It's really important that marks are uploaded as quickly as possible after you've marked them, so that we can arrange your tutorial 7s and make sure that you're getting back into schools as quickly as possible to give students their marks. Once your marks have been uploaded, we will run a moderation process, and we will have a look at the marks that you've submitted, and we will run some checks on those marks to see if any of them look unusual. If your marks look unusual, we will run a moderation process, and that will involve us going onto the hub, downloading some of the scripts and double marking them. If we are not able to access those scripts on the hub, we will get in contact with you and ask you to submit some scripts to us for moderation. Once that moderation process is complete, you will be notified by your programme officer that that has happened, and they will then discuss with you the findings and arrange for tutorial 7 to happen. The crucial thing is that you must upload your marks onto the hub, and that tutorial 7 should not be taking place until signed off by your programme officer. Let's have a think about these baseline and final assignments then. With your baseline assignment, it's really important that this is a starting point for your scholars, so they should have room to grow. It is very unusual for scholars to be getting marks in the 2-1, high 2-1 or first bracket in their baseline assignments. This is because they shouldn't have enough subject knowledge or those developed skills to enable them to get into those top bands. That's what they're doing the course for. If scholars are getting really high marks in their baseline assignments, we need to be thinking as tutors about how we are going to stretch and challenge those scholars throughout our course. Remember, if they're getting high 2-1s or first, that means they've got a really good grasp of the subject knowledge for the whole course, and those critical skills and those writing skills. So we really need to make sure that we're marking with that in mind. It's also really important that we do not share marks with scholars. Research tells us that sharing marks switches people off from learning. What we want to be sharing is feedback about how to improve and not numbers. So it's really important that we don't share them. When we get to those final assignments then, it's really important that you are very clear with your scholars about what you expect to see. That is what tutorial 5 is for, to prepare them to revise those key elements of the course that you are expecting to see in those final assignments, and then tutorial 6 to give them that specific supportive feedback that will help them achieve the highest marks possible. Often that feedback is about making sure that there's a clarity of argument running through the whole assignment, and also really thinking about removing misconceptions. If you look at our mark schemes, for a 2-1, anything over 60, we really need to have very, very few and minor misconceptions. So really think about that in tutorial 6. And then please do make sure that those marks are uploaded to the hub as soon as possible. Let's just have a quick think then about the rise of artificial intelligence. ChatGPT has been in the news, especially in the educational news, and I know that some of us are a little bit worried about it. So ChatGPT is functionality, it's artificial intelligence functionality that is developing really quickly, and we can't keep up with how it's developing. But that being said, there are some things that you can do to really limit any potential impact of it in your tutorials or your assignments. The first thing to do is to know your course. The AI functionality searches the entirety of the internet for its information, and whilst we should recognise when our scholars have done their individual research, that research should be rooted in the content that has been covered in the course and that is available in their handbook. The inclusion of random information or ideas might be a hint that something else has done the searching. And at the moment, ChatGPT is not great at referencing. So if there are references on your scholar's work that you don't recognise, go and check them out. Make sure that they're for real. Use your homework activities and your in-class discussions to really get a sense of your scholar's knowledge and style. Although there is functionality in AI to write in a particular genre, more often than not, if AI has been used and copied, it will sound really, really robotic and really overly formal in tone. And it also generally writes with American English, so look out for those Zs and those random American spellings. And look out for a style or a tone that doesn't sound like the scholars that you have got to know. Finally, in our mark scheme, to get anything above 60, scholars need to be actively prioritising and drawing conclusions based on a range of ideas. Current AI functionality does not do that well. It might list a range of things, but it will not draw them together and make interesting and thoughtful connections between them or explore alternatives. So if what you are presented with is a list of related but descriptive ideas, this might prompt you to investigate a little bit further. So if you do suspect that a student has been using AI to help them, what should you do? Well, the first thing you should do is use tutorial 6 to ask questions. Ask questions of your scholars about the content that they have discussed. And this will allow you to get a sense of whether they understand this content or not. If they don't understand it, it may be an indicator that they've got it from elsewhere. But if they do understand it, that's absolutely fine, even if it isn't written in their style. If they've got a good understanding and knowledge of the content, that's absolutely fine to go forward. The second thing you can do is refer to their other written material. As I mentioned, ChatGPT, these AI technologies are very, very formal in tone. Have a look at their other written work, have a look at their homeworks and see if the two match. See if you can recognise that this is that student's or that scholar's writing. And if you do have concerns after that, following those processes, discuss with the lead teacher and your programme officer, who will be able to support you further. So, just a couple of reminders then. The final assignment, our national deadline for final assignment marks is the 30th of March for spring and the 13th of June for summer term placement. Marks must be uploaded onto the hub by that date so that they can be moderated. If for any reason you are unable to make that date, you must please let your programme officer know so that they can support you and make sure that tutorial 7s can go ahead as quickly as possible. Once you've uploaded those marks, you may well be contacted by the teaching and learning team if we do need to moderate any of those assignments. All that's left for me to say then is thank you for all of the work that you do with our scholars, and I really hope that you enjoy reading, marking those final assignments and seeing the progress that your scholars have made under your tutelage.